Hey guys, I'm Calluna, and welcome back to the next Game of Thrones breakdown. This week, we're back to King's Landing, and there are a couple very cool reveals this time. Let's dig into Blood of My Blood. North of the Wall. We start basically where we left off last episode, with Meera pulling Bran, who is still uploading all the memories Bloodraven gave him. We get glimpses of events previously seen on the show, like the White Walkers turning Craster's baby, Robb getting killed at the Red Wedding, and Bran's previous flashback of young Ned. We do get small snippets here and there of new events previously unseen, the most obvious being the Mad King. If you remember Jaime telling Brienne the story of how he killed the Mad King, we are seeing that take place, with the king having his pyromancers store wildfire and telling them to burn the city. We also see hands in a pool of blood, which harkens back to the Tower of Joy scene, since we know Ned finds Lyanna in a pool of blood. Lastly, we see a shot of the dragon shadow over what looks to be King's Landing. We've seen this used for promotional use of Game of Thrones before, but now it could be a scene either in the past or the near future. There's plenty of events from the past involving dragons, or it could be foretelling Dany's return to Westeros. Unfortunately, the Whites catch up to Bran and Meera, but they are saved just in time by a mysterious stranger. He's got these cool, swingy fireball things to take out the Whites, and these are super badass! He tells Meera and Bran to come with him, and they ride off on horseback. Who could this mysterious stranger be? Horn Hill. We cut to Sam and Gilly, with Sam telling her he didn't let his family know she was a wildling, since his super scary tough-as-nails dad is not exactly known for being kind to wildlings. We get a bit of a surprise when we meet Sam's mom and sister, who are actually really nice and don't seem to notice Gilly's attire. But then again, Sam Jr. is a pretty cute distraction. Don't get too used to nice family moments though, because later we get to meet Sam's dad. King's Landing. Tommen has another chat with the High Sparrow. Geez, really? We've gone from garden conversation memes to convent conversation memes. But then he lets Tommen go see Marjorie. And it seems that Marjorie has sided with the High Sparrow's philosophy, which is a total 180 from when we last saw her. Tommen is a bit befuddled by this, as are we, and we leave this scene hoping it's all just an act by Marjorie in order to get into the good graces of the High Sparrow. Horn Hill. Again. This episode is very back and forth with a number of scenes, huh? Gilly gets dressed up and looks so pretty. And then we get an extremely awkward dinner scene with grouchy old Randall, who only berates Sam for his weight and scholarly attitude. We've heard Sam talk about his father before. His father threatened to kill Sam if he didn't give up his title to his younger, more traditionally masculine brother, Dickon. And after this scene, I can definitely see that to be true. We see Sam reverting back to the way he was in Season 1, and Gilly just can't take it anymore, defending Sam and accidentally revealing her background as a wildling. After Randall conveniently points out his super cool Valyrian sword, Sam decides not to leave Gilly and Sam Jr. at Horn Hill. Instead, he takes them with him, along with the sword, since it's going to be helpful in the War for the Dawn, and pissing off Randall. Braavos. We see Arya watching the Westeros play again, taking enjoyment in Joffrey's death, but also being moved by Lady Crane's performance. After poisoning Lady Crane's wine, Arya gets a chance to talk to her, and we get a really interesting conversation between the two of them. Arya has a moment where she has to think about the events from Cersei's point of view, which is a really interesting study in how she thinks about the world. Arya sees a lot of herself in Lady Crane, which makes her hesitant to kill her. After a slight jab about writing through the director, Arya stops Lady Crane from drinking the wine and telling her that the other actress wanted her dead. Unfortunately, the waif overhears this and tattles on her to Jaqen. The waif is then dispatched to kill Arya, though Jaqen does seem sad about it. Well, as sad as he can get. Arya pulls Needle out of her hiding spot, and it seems like she will be confronting the waif very soon. It's really not that much of a surprise that Arya wasn't able to completely become no one. I did a whole video on her already, and I kinda came to the same conclusions the showrunners did. She never will be able to completely give up her identity as Arya Stark. Now it's just a matter of being able to escape from a super amazing assassins guild. Well, good luck with that! King's Landing. Again. Jaime and Mace Tyrell lead the Tyrell army to go and rescue Marjorie and Loras. We've been building this confrontation for a while now. Jaime even rides up the stairs like a boss. And unfortunately, we find out that this is all for naught, because Marjorie convinced Tommen to convert to the faith. So she doesn't need to do a penance walk after all? Okay, this is what I had predicted what would happen, but I am a bit confused still. I had expected to see more of Marjorie's turn to the Sparrow's side if this was going to happen, but since she's done such a 180, I'm thinking she has a more long-term plan in mind. Marjorie knows how to adapt, that much we've seen through her interactions with her 3 husbands. I don't think she has completely turned to the High Sparrow's side, but it is merely going along with it in order to prevent civil war, or possibly save her brother. Or, since we did see Loras had totally given up already, it's possible Marjorie didn't convert, if nothing else but to save Loras. We'll just have to see. Now that Tommen has chosen to unite the Faith and Crown, even creating a new Faith militant group of Kingsguard, there is nothing Jaime and Olenna can do to stop the High Sparrow. It's time now to get Jaime back to his book plot, since in the books he never goes to Dorne and isn't present for any of the events involving the High Sparrow. Tommen fires him from the Kingsguard and instead will be sending him to the twins. Walder Frey informs the audience why Jaime is being sent out. The Blackfish has gotten an army and is taking back Riverrun, thanks to the help of some other noble houses who don't like the Freys. Yeah, kinda hard to maintain alliances when you murder someone at a wedding, huh? We also hear that the Brotherhood without banners has been destroying their supplies as well, which makes me really wish they had included Lady Stoneheart in the show. We last saw the Brotherhood when Arya was traveling with Gendry, and supposedly Thoros might be making another appearance this season. So maybe we'll see the Brotherhood at some point? Walder reveals that Edmure has been a hostage since the wedding, and his men should use him to take down the Blackfish. King's Landing. Final. Another quick cut to Jaime now that we know he's being sent to help Walder Frey take back Riverrun. He wants to just have Bronn kill the High Sparrow, but Cersei, in a rather un-Cersei manner, tells him that violence isn't the answer right now, and that he should take his rightful place as head of the Lannister army. We are finally getting a bit of tension between them when Jaime is worried about Cersei's trial, but she says that the Mountain will be her champion. The show has been keeping the two of them together and relatively on good terms with one another for the most part, which is odd since Jaime is separating himself much more from Cersei in the books. Maybe now that he's finally leaving King's Landing we'll get to see more of that? North of the Wall. Again. The stranger tells Meera that the Three-Eyed Raven had sent for him, which is how he was able to save them earlier. And it's none other than Benjen Stark! Cold Hands. Wait, what? Okay, so in the books, Cold Hands is a mysterious figure who helps Bran and company get to the Three-Eyed Raven. We don't see his face, but he seems to be a white who has maintained his sense of self. George R.R. Martin confirmed that Cold Hands was not Benjen Stark, at least not in the books. So it seems that, unless George R.R. Martin was being cheeky with his wording, the showrunners have combined Cold Hands and Benjen Stark. He tells Bran and Meera that he had been killed by whites, but the Children of the Forest managed to save him by using the same dragonglass dagger ritual that made the Walkers in the first place. Benjen tells Bran that he is now the Three-Eyed Raven, and he needs to learn to control his power since Bran will be an important player in the war to come. Hopefully that means we'll be getting slightly more coherent visions in the future episodes. From Benjen's phrasing, it seems that Bran will be a leader position of some kind to battle the Night's King. Wonder what that will mean exactly, but we know that the mark on Bran's arm allowed the others to pass through the cave, so maybe it'll allow them to cross the wall if Bran does? Vaestelthrock. While leading her Khalasar, Dany asks Daario how many ships she'll need to take her army to Westeros. Daario estimates around 1,000. Now, who else do we know who mentioned 1,000 ships? Oh right, douchebag Greyjoy. Awfully convenient since all those ships in Meereen were burnt. I doubt Euron thought that far ahead, but hey, it's always possible. Dany rides up ahead, making everyone wait. Well, she's good at that. But then she flies in on Drogon and holy crap, he got bigger! And Dany gives a dramatic speech. Again, she's good at that. Gotta admit, this one's a bit lackluster for me for the most part. She chooses all the Khals as her blood riders rather than just the traditional 3, but that seemed kind of a done deal after the whole fire incident. And she tells them that she plans to sail across the narrow sea to Westeros to take the Iron Throne. Again, already knew that. The main takeaway here is that Dany is able to successfully ride Drogon, which indicates that she seems to have finally found herself again. When she doubted herself and got wrapped up in the politics of Slaver's Bay, that's when she didn't have control of the dragons. Now that she's risen to power again, that is reflected in her riding Drogon. So the actual speech wasn't super amazing, but the metaphor behind it was. So the phrase, blood of my blood, refers to how a Khal and his blood riders refer to one another. Obviously, we see how this ties into Dany's story, but what about the rest of the episode? Well, a Khal chooses the blood riders, chooses who becomes his family, essentially. We see a lot of family reunions taking place, but not all of them work out so well. We see how each respective character is deciding what their family means to them. To Sam, Gilly and Sam Jr. are his true family, so he chooses them over his blood relatives. Bran is reunited with one of his remaining blood relatives, though they have both changed. Tommen and Marjorie have gone against their families and are trying to create a new family through the unification of the Crown and Faith. And Arya chooses her family legacy over the Faceless Men. Preview. We see the Blackfish and Jaime having a chat at River Run, with Blackfish not backing down for Jaime. Olenna yells at Cersei for this being all her fault, and yet it kinda is, since Cersei was the one who gave the High Sparrow the means to take them down in the first place. Sansa, Jon, and Davos are at House Mormont and House Glover pleading their case. Sansa says, "I did what I had to survive," so I'm wondering if they're going to be bringing up her marriages to Tyrion and Ramsay. Asha and Theon look to be in Volantis, and while we expect them to probably try and find Daenerys, who knows if that's actually what's going to end up happening. Tormund is rallying the wildlings to Jon's side, saying that Jon was willing to die for them, so they should be for him. Edmure looks to be in a spot of trouble, and hey, Bronn and Jaime are hanging out again. Nice. We see a pair of mysterious feet, which some book readers suspect to be the Gravedigger. I won't spoil that here, but feel free to look up the Gravedigger theory if you're curious. And Davos seems to be giving another cool speech to help rally forces. We've already seen him do that once before with the Iron Bank, so it'll be interesting to see how much help he'll be this time. So overall, this episode had some really interesting moments, like Benjen's reveal, the Downton Abbey-esque dinner scene, and Dany's riding on Drogon, but overall definitely felt like one of the more relaxed episodes. Definitely a quick breath before more action. You need episodes like this to give a bit of setup and breathing room. We've had a lot of really intense episodes before this, so we want to make sure that the big events still seem big. So, what did you guys think of the episode? Did you enjoy the small glimpses we got into Bran's dream? Do you think Marjorie has a plan in mind, or has she turned to the High Sparrow's cause? What did you think of Sam's family? How long do you think Edmure has? Will Sansa and Jon manage to convince the other houses to unite with them? And what will Theon and Asha do now that they've escaped to Volantis? Post your thoughts and comments below. As always, I'm Calluna, and thank you for joining me on this week's Game of Thrones episode breakdown. See you in the next one. Bye!
Geek Vision.